currently 6 o'clock on the dot. We are calling to order the meeting of the Board of Trustees, August 28th, 2024. Clerk Perillo, can you please confirm the presence of a quorum?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Mayor Shevra?
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Giuliano?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Hill?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Laus? Thank you. Trustee Urinsky?
Also present.
Thank you. Treasurer Gasko is with us as well, and we're expecting Attorney Moran.
Okay, thank you. Ask everyone to stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, there seems to be an announcement tonight. Clerk Perillo?
Yes, thank you. The announcement is that the next upcoming Village Board of Trustees meeting will be the September work session meeting, which will begin at 5 o'clock p.m. on September 11th, 2024.
All right, thank you. Now, next is our public safety and welfare update. I invite our village constables up and our new faces from the Suffolk County Police Department. You can come on over to the microphone over here. Welcome.
I'm Sergeant Kelly of Suffolk County Police. I'm Unit 636. I cover Fort Jefferson Village, Stony Brook, Setauket, and our squad that was working right now, we're Squad 3. Inspector Condall from the 6th Precinct advised me about the meeting tonight. All I have with me is some crime statistics for the past 30 days for this year as compared to last year, if you want me to go over some of those.
Please do.
Okay. So this was up until today, so 8/28, so 7/31 to 8/28 from last year and this year. So last year, our total calls for service in Fort Jeff Village were 333. This year it was up 379. Criminal incidents is down. Last year for the same time period it was 31, and this year it's 19. Those include aggravated harassment, assault, burglary, criminal mischief, harassment, larceny, menacing, and robbery. But it was down by 12 as compared to the same time period last year. Non-criminal incidents from last year was 302. This year there were 360. So that includes 80 cases, 80 overdoses, check on the welfare, disturbances, mental health, transports, police informations. Other incidents were motor vehicle accidents. Last year, for the same time period, we had 30 in Fort Jeff Village, and this year there were 23, so accidents are down. There were 0 serious injury or fatal accidents last year and this year at the same time frame. And our traffic summonses, 91 were issued last year and 111 were issued this year for the Fort Jefferson Village area. Last year there were 10 arrests with 10 charges, and this year there were 8 arrests with 8 charges. Any other questions about that? Overall crime's down, so that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. If you would mind sticking around for a minute, because we might have a couple of questions from the audience for you. Thank you, Sergeant Kelly.
Evening, Madam Mayor, members of the board, family, friends, residents. This is our report from July of 2024. 3 events from the past month. We had the boat build at the Bayless Boat Shop. Let me just do this a little bit if you don't mind. That was August 10th and 11th. From what I understand, it went off without a hitch. No issues or incidents to report with regards to that. We also had the Port Jefferson Village golf outing August 15th at the Country Club, no issues or incidents. And the hill climb was August 17th at Village Center. It was, that event seems to be growing every year. And again, no issues or incidents involved with that. That was actually a good time. Upcoming, school is opening September 3rd. So please watch for school buses and pedestrian traffic in the school areas, and children walking and whatnot, and watch out for those school buses at the bus stops. Please stop for them. The Dragon Boat Race is coming up September 14th at the Village Hall and Harborfront Park area, and the Port Jefferson High School Homecoming Parade and Game September 27th and 28th. So expect some traffic disruptions the evening of the 27th of September. Our incident report recap for the month of July, total of 49 incidents that we responded to, including 8 cases, noise complaints, and downed trees. The weather, as you know, this past month left a little to be desired, so created several hazardous conditions. Our summons recap for the month of July 2024. Total summonses written, 762. Heavy hitter there was overtime parking as far as the meters go. Remember to pay your meters when you're out in the lots. Uninspected vehicles, overtime parking on the street, and then parking without a permit. There were 18 warnings issued as well. Our ALPO survey for the month of July, 142 passes through the Arden lot. Port Jefferson 3, vehicle number 3 was in service 59 times. That's an average. 33 summonses were written for parking without a permit in that one resident lot. Let's see, what else do we have? The speed sign on westbound North Country, if you're traveling in that direction, at Loretta Gate, was installed July 11th. For July, not even a full month, 65,097 vehicles passed by. Average speed was 35. So we're going 5 miles over the speed limit, so please slow down. Not only in that area, but throughout the village, please. And I'll invite up Chief Investigator James Murdacco for our FAT report.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Board. For this month, we've had 29 FATs that were issued. The majority were for open alcohol. 17 were issued for discounts. The number went up this month because of the weather and activity.
Wait. That's lingo that not everybody understands.
Sorry. So,
Is that disorderly conduct?
disorderly conduct.
Okay.
Yes, I should have clarified. But 29 in total. We've focused again on areas downtown that were busy. The train station, again, with that, we've worked with people that, again, had no services that needed some resources. We really gave them that information. Thank you.
All right.
One thing I forgot to mention, the beaches are open until September 2nd. At that time, there won't be any lifeguards, but the parking regulations are still in effect, that residents or anyone parking there does require a resident permit. So. Anyone have any thoughts, questions, concerns?
Is this where we can address the sub-county police and?
Correct, yes, yes. All right, come on up to the podium, please. Just please state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Rick Riccioppo. I live at 105 Belterre Road in the village. And I wanted to, actually, I wrote an email to the mayor recently. I've also contacted Sergio Molinar, if I got the name correct, community liaison officer, of Suffolk County Police. This is an ongoing issue that I think has gotten worse and worse in the village. It's speeding, the noise that is the result of speeding, and the complete disregard of basic traffic rules. So I live on Belterre Road, and I think it's great that people are only doing 5 miles an hour over the speed limit on North Country Road. They're not doing that on my street. On my street, and I live on the north end of Belterre Road, in between East Broadway and Thompson. That's right where the road curves and the emergency room entrance for St. Charles Hospital is. That has become a drag strip. Cars will start at the intersection and burn rubber down my road. And it boggles my mind because it's only maybe 500 feet, a little more than 500 feet between the stop sign and the curve in the road. They speed constantly. Understand, too, that if you're not familiar with that area, there are no sidewalks. I measured today. There is literally 12 inches of space between the roadway, the line, the white line, and the edge of the road. 12 inches. I don't know about you, but I'm wider than 12 inches. And if I'm walking down the street, I'm in danger. Now, you do not have to take my word for this. I encourage you, please, go to Belterre Road. You will see tire marks from people burning out. You can see that right in front of my house. Have you ever been woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning from a dead sleep from somebody just stomping on their accelerator? I have, and it's not pleasant. And there are the tire marks in front of my road to witness that. And the thing is, I'm on a flag lot, so I'm behind the roads. I'm not a house that's right on the road. I'm actually one house back from the road, and I can still hear that. I like to sit in my backyard nice summer evenings. That's why I moved to the village of Port Jefferson, because it's nice and quiet. You can hear motorcycles screaming down my road and down North Country Road. You can hear them go through all 6 gears at 8,000 RPMs. It's really loud. And if you know anything about motorcycles, it is literally impossible to do anywhere near the speed limit if you're in 5th gear or 6th gear doing 7,000 RPMs. So it's really loud, really obnoxious. I also have a neighbor, I don't know where, but there's somebody in the vicinity who drives a car that has got a modified exhaust, extremely loud, and it backfires constantly. It sounds like gunfire going down my street. It's really getting to the point where it's driving me crazy and interfering with my quality of life. But it's also dangerous. As I said, there's no sidewalks. So if you're walking your dog or out for a jog or you're pushing a baby stroller, you are in danger. In addition to the noise and the speeding, we seem to have a problem with no one bothering to stop at stop signs. The intersection of Belterre Road and East Broadway is particularly problematic. People go through that at full speed. They barely, sometimes I really think they don't even touch the brake pedal. Again, there's no sidewalks. It's really dangerous. So I'm very frustrated of the noise, the danger, the speeding, the disregard for common sense rules. We don't have the ability, our constables, I love our constables. They are a great service. They do a great service to us. But they can't make traffic stops. They can't pull somebody over. We need the help of Suffolk County Police. I've written the police department. I brought all this up, and I was told, well, we'll send an incident report to the traffic sector. Nothing has happened. One time, I've lived in the village since 2009, so I'm probably a newcomer to, as opposed to many of you, but one time I noticed a Suffolk County Police patrol car parked by that stop sign. I was on my way to work, and I pulled up next to the patrol car, and there was an officer in there, and I said, "Are you here to watch the stop sign?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Thank you." She goes, "Yeah, I've only been here a short amount of time. I've already written 8 tickets." This is something that can be self-funded. If we only had traffic stops in the village, it could be self-funded. Right now, there are no repercussions for speeding or driving with a modified exhaust in the village of Port Jefferson. None. There is no chance of getting caught. There is Zero chance of getting caught. So people know that. And I know that, there are places like, for instance, I love to go to Cupsog Beach. Everyone knows that if you drive down Dune Road, the speed limit is 30 and then it drops to 25. Everyone knows that those police departments will ticket you for 1 or 2 miles an hour over the limit. So no one speeds on Dune Road. We need a presence like that here. We need some traffic, either speed traps or people, Suffolk County cops watching the intersections and writing tickets because word gets around. And once that happens, we'll get a reputation. It's like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't speed, or maybe you shouldn't drive your motorcycle at 60 miles an hour in the village of Port Jefferson. But it's really getting out of hand. I think it's a safety issue. It's definitely a quality of life issue. I live where my driveway is. I have it's like a bend in the road. So I have to very carefully inch out as I leave my driveway. I'm only 4 driveways from the stop sign that I was talking about. It should be no problem leaving my driveway, except cars will blow by my driveway at 45. The speed limit is 25 there. How can they go that fast? There's only a few hundred feet. Well, it's kind of easy. They don't stop at the stop sign. So all these things are related: the noise, the safety issues, and I really would like some kind of effort between the village and the county, because we can't do it alone, to put a stop to this lawless behavior that's really affecting the quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we've shared your information with Suffolk County Police in person via email, and you sent an email as well to them. And the response that I received from our precinct COPE unit is that he will enter the information into the patrol check system. This will alert local patrol officers on these issues and the need for extra attention and enforcement. I will also advise our community support units and patrol supervisors to make sure these issues are being addressed. So I think your feedback is being heard.
And I'll do the same to make sure that other people are aware of it, so, I can tell as you're talking.
I mean, I appreciate it. Like I said, I brought this up last year, and I got the same, response, but it really ends up to be nothing.
I understand, I know your frustration.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated.
I'm gonna work on, for my part, I'll do what I can to try to make sure that everybody's aware of it, and I will send cars over there.
Thank you, I
as
appreciate
quickly
it.
as possible. And I'll confirm that we have a patrol check there. That's a system that we use just to know when there's problem areas, and then the officers who are in that sector will look at the patrol checks, and they should be doing it regularly. So that's something I'm gonna check on too.
Well, if you want easy tickets,
I'll spread the word.
Belterre Road and East Broadway, you'll write as many tickets as you can. Bring a thick book.
But even aside from tickets, the safety issue, that should be something we should be looking at. So I'll make sure that we're looking into it, and I'll bring it up with the inspector as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Pat Zimmerman, 175 Windward Court South in the Highlands. My question to the officers is Highland Boulevard is a speedway. There's no way you can get around it. But we're having now, I've lived there 27 years, commercial cars parked right outside the entrance, plus private cars parked right outside the entrance. When you're coming in or going out, it's a detriment because you can't see oncoming traffic. Is there something that could be done? Because 2 of the vehicles have advertising all over it. So I know that they're commercial.
Highland Boulevard.
Highland Boulevard,
And then
right in front of the Highlands. The Highlands?
Pat, can I also ask you to submit a notification of such to the clerk's office?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
something we can look into.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Hey, Chief, before you go, I just want to commend you for the great work that the code enforcement did during our flooding session. So thank you very much, and please extend that to the whole crew. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is our public opportunity to address the Board of Trustees. Okay. Sure.
Rob Grimm, 18 Pine Hill. Tonight I'm speaking as the chairperson for the Citizens Commission on Erosion. First, the commission would like to thank the mayor and the trustees for setting up this commission and allowing our voices to be heard. I personally have learned so much about bluff erosion in just a few weeks. I would like to brief the board on the outcome of the commission's research and discussions concerning Coastal Technologies' proposed pilot project. We have met with Coastal Technologies, spoken with the mayor, and have spent our last 3 meetings discussing pros and concerns about the pilot. Although the commission had concerns, we voted 9-2 that it would be beneficial to the overall restoration project to move forward with the proposed pilot program. If successful, the method could be used in place of the current plan or in conjunction with the current plan. Many of our concerns were already answered in the Coastal Technology scope of work in the agenda. However, on a personal note, I have to admit that I am one of the 2 that did not vote for this. Okay, and I support my committee, but I just have a different opinion. My first thing is I don't believe that the village should be spending more money on the restoration project until the residents are given the chance to vote whether the project should move forward with the reservation project or whether we should retreat. My second concern is I don't believe the village should spend money on the pilot program until FEMA approves to change the scope of work on the existing plans that are waiting FEMA funding, or I think it would be a waste if we can't do anything with it. Other than that, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kassar. Of course.
Al Kasari, 11 Stewart's Court. I think, by the way, Rob has done a wonderful job as chairperson, and I respect his opinion. I just want to review the way I and some other people on the committee saw this take place. First, I'm just going to say that I think the destruction of the bluff was a domino effect. And I'm going to review that, talk about the remediation that's been done, and talk about all of the stages that need to be done yet, because it's not just planting of the cliff that's going to solve this problem. And I agree with Rob that there was a lot of concern about whether this trial project would really be effective and is the best way to plant the cliff. I think most people felt that it was not the overall solution, and I think the majority felt that it was worth a trial, because to plant the areas where the grooves are forming is going to be a difficult situation, and I don't think anybody knows how to do that right now. So maybe they have the answer to planting those grooves and solving the worst part of the cliff. If we look at the cliff today, a lot has been successful in what has been done so far. And I disagree with a referendum to try to decide where to go, because if Mayor Garant had not built that seawall, the cliff would be half of what it is today. It was very successful. The planting, other than in the grooves in front of both tennis court sides, has been successful, and it's growing beautifully. I think we need bigger plants there. But let me just go through what I was going to say. The domino effect started we had a beautiful forested bluff that was able to absorb water from the non-absorbing club, pavement, tennis courts, and even misdirection of stormwater from up above. It was working fine. The western jetty was destroyed in storms over a period of 10 to 15 years and not fixed for too many years, and it led to an enormous migration of the East Beach sand into Mount Sinai Harbor. Storm waves then eroded the desanded beach at the toe of the bluff, leading to collapse of the bluff surface. I have prepared a talk that I'd love to give here sometime that shows the chronologic and historical situation with what happened using photographs from satellite Earth over a period of 10 years. And you can see what happened to the jetty, what happened to the bluff, what happened to the forests, and what continues to happen. The deforestation could no longer prevent deep and surface erosion from rain and storm erosion, especially in front of those tennis courts. The jetty was reconstructed, East Beach sand was restored, the seawall construction successfully stopped toe erosion where it was built, but the other side wasn't built, and it's not preventing that now. Bluff planting successfully stabilized the area of the bluff not exposed to excessive runoff from persistent drainage problems, mostly from tennis courts above and absence of a seawall below. The next stage of remediation requires multiple stages and multiple issues. And first is elimination of the non-absorbing surfaces from above, improvement of drainage away from the crest of the bluff, restoration of the bluff surface, and this trial method of planting, especially in the eroding grooves, most of the people on the committee felt this was a favorable thing to do, because I don't know that there is some better way to plant those eroding grooves. And I think that others have concern, but feel likewise. And certainly we have to add a seawall where it's missing, perhaps in a less expensive fashion, as a number of people in Belterre have done, much less expensively, and I think effectively. And Carolyn Engelhardt, who is one of them who did that, is willing to address our committee and perhaps this group to show you what she has done for much less money than we spent. I think what we did was right where it was needed on the eastern part, but on that western part, I think rocks and something like Carolyn has done would be very effective. So that's my opinion. Any questions or? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kasari.
Just what was the vote breakdown between 9 to 2? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Robert Larrabee, 214 Main Lane. Although I was able to attend a Bluff meeting, I'm not representing the Bluff group. I guess I'll start with just the title of the resolution versus what's contained in the cliff stabilization pricing. On my PDF, it was page 28. It references the installation of 580 cliff stabilizer devices and corresponding plants. Yet at the last section of installation scope includes installation of devices and plant material is not included. So my question is, are we just buying the material and parks, or DEP is going to install it? Or is this going to be previewed by perhaps someone with contracting experience and clean it up before it's actually voted on? It seems an extraordinarily loose proposal. There's no question of whether the prices are FOB. Are we going to have to pick them up? Are they going to be delivered? There's no specification on a fall planting season. He's going to have on-site supervision, but there's no hours stated. I see there was a supplemental list of plants, which is always good. However, they're not quantified. So my basic comment is this seems extraordinarily loose and vague. If it is going to be cleaned up before it goes to signature, that's great. If not, I don't think it should go. It's a little loose, way loose, I think, for a contracting document, if this in fact is the contracting document. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Next.
Paul Quiggle, 108 Hawthorne Street. I was also on the committee for erosion. I also respect what you've done, and thank you. I agree that the pilot should go forward. If we do nothing, then it's just going to continue eroding. It's a small pilot in a small area, and if we don't have that test, it's not going to show us anything. So going forward, I think is the right thing to do. Drainage is also an issue. I think that drainage on the top should be looked at also, but that's more money. I think the project should go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, Mayor Shepro and Board of Trustees. My name is Jennifer Donahue, and I live at 40 Roslyn Court in Port Jefferson, obviously. So I'm here tonight because on August 18th, we had the severe storm. And I'm really nervous, I'm sorry. The reason why I'm here tonight is because due to the heavy rain, Roslyn Court got flooded to the point that now I have sinkholes in my yard. That my yard meets Crystal Brook Hollow, which the men were for the past 2 days cleaning all the sand. All that sand is also in my yard. My main concern is that I have an 11-year-old son, and the sinkhole is humongous. We could fit in there to the point that I told my landscapers I do not want them to come. I have 2 small ones in my driveway. I live at the bottom of Roslyn, so the water just went all the way down toward Crystal Brook, and you could see the ridges of the water. I went to Stony Brook yesterday. I was one of the first people there. It was a waste of time, unfortunately, because there were only 2 representatives there who just made us sign our name on a piece of paper, told us of a website to go to and fill out paperwork. I went there with pictures, my insurance, everything that I have, and they couldn't answer anyone's question. Senator Mario Matera was there. And basically, they told all the people who were there, from Stony Brook, Setauket, whoever had flooding, that FEMA is only helping business owners right now. 500,000 people need to complain in order for FEMA to help us. I am sure I'm not the only person that's having this problem. They told me and other people who were there to please go to our village and talk to our mayor. They're only hearing in the news about Mill Pond Road. They need to hear that it's affecting other places as well. So I came here tonight to voice my concern. What can you do to help or to get those grants to Port Jeff? Because the grants are there, but they didn't tell us how to fill them out. They haven't told us how. So where do we go from here? Because now it's dangerous for my children, for their friends, but my house, because I'm on the bottom of the hill. If we have another storm, My house is next, going down the hill.
So Jen, can you please send a note?
Yes.
We have the details, but just send a note to the clerk's office.
Okay.
We have a list that we're compiling of all the streets that have been impacted, all the stormwater systems that have been impacted. We want to include yours. We are reporting through Suffolk County Emergency Management because that's our route right now.
Correct.
Both from the municipal standpoint, but we're also, talking about infrastructure, which will impact the streets in the village.
Right.
So report it. I don't.
Attention.
Mayor, may I?
Yes, please.
To understand the way it works, the thresholds have to be met on 3 levels, right? It's the municipal level for their infrastructure, it's the individual assessments for individual damage to personal property, and the businesses under the SBA, Small Business Association. There is a link on the Town of Brookhaven website. I don't know if it's on the village website. It's an assessment form that you can fill out.
I filled that
And
out.
if you fill that out, that's also notification to the Office of Emergency Management. And if you want, when you're done speaking, I'll meet you outside
Okay.
because I have a link on my phone that I've shared with other people in similar situations, and they seem to at least be satisfied that there's a possibility to get up to, I believe, $50,000 somehow with a link that was forwarded to me. So I wanted
I
to
would
offer you that.
I would appreciate that. Absolutely.
As soon as you leave, I'll follow you up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Attorney Moran, do you think you can share that link publicly?
It's on our website.
It's on our website?
It's on our website.
I will give it
Great.
to the village clerk.
No, it's fine. If it's on the website, let's just let the public know that they can
Yeah.
go to the website.
And it's been distributed. It's on our social media pages. I'm pretty sure it's the same link. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Arthur Epp, 206 East Main Street. Tonight I will begin with a quote from Paul David Hewson, aka Bono. We're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other, one. We're one community. And listening to commentary at this podium in the past, we're not the same. But in times of crisis, we carry each other. After the most recent deluge and its aftermath, our mayor, trustees, DPW, code officers, and a host of others did some heavy lifting and carried us. But first and foremost, our firefighters, both literally and figuratively, carried us. I understand there were individuals who were carried out of flooded areas, perhaps even out of their motor vehicles. Our firefighters are courageous and altruistic. Without hesitation, without trepidation, they put themselves in harm's way on our behalf. This is one of the reasons why we call them New York's bravest. They deserve our respect, our appreciation, and our gratitude. And they deserve a firehouse that during a crisis does not flood with 3 feet of water and some waste debris, which maybe even is toxic. They deserve much better. The logical response is to create a task force or a blue ribbon commission to address the situation, to investigate and give recommendations. I suggested months ago that there are a handful of people among us more qualified and most qualified to address this problem and possibly find a solution. they are our local developers. Our developers essentially are masters of this craft. Some of them have generations of property problem-solving experience at their disposal. I just say to them one word: please, please do try. You have the know-how, you have the experience, and you have an attribute that I would call the audacity to consider and implement the improbable. I would say that goes beyond simply thinking out of the box. It's part of your trade and what you do. I understand undertaking this mission won't be profitable monetarily, but if you come up with a solution, it will burnish your legacy for generations, and that's priceless. I'm not asking our developers to dig into their pockets and provide coin for the cause. I'm asking our local developers to dig into their hearts and to allocate time for the task. If you collaborate with your brethren, I think you will provide our best chance at coming up with a solution. So again, addressing our developers, I will say, we are one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Gianola, 23 Maroki Trail. I just wanted to say thank you. I was up here many months ago regarding the request for street repair to my block in my neighborhood that had not been repaired in 20 plus years, utility damage to the street, graffiti and paint. I came up here, I spoke, I stated what was wrong and what I would like the village to do and repair our street, and the village did their part. You put our streets on the list for repaving. They are beautiful. Maroki, Pilgrim, Puritan settlers. So I just want to say thank you because the village does listen. Our mayor listens, our board listens, and thank you very much for coming through and helping us on our streets.
Thank you for saying
And
that.
to the town and to the highway department, they did a fabulous job.
DPW listens
DPW,
too.
fabulous job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comments? Going once? Nobody wants to comment on how beautiful the boardroom looks with the new drapes and the blinds and I'll just say, because it was brought up in public comment so often and from so many different standpoints, that the storm of the millennium, can we call it? Not the century, the millennium, was extremely damaging to the village. Jennifer's story isn't the only one. You didn't experience the only sinkhole in the village. There's a lot of insurance companies that are being called. Our Department of Public Works building was infiltrated with gallons and gallons, uncollectible gallons of water, and it's currently under repair. Our highway department has been displaced into the appropriately called Emergency Operations Center. Our planning and building department has moved down to Village Hall and is stationed in various desk spaces that were free for our team to work out of here. They're taking applications and they're responding to application requests and they're taking meetings. So business is a little different, but it's business as usual. We are talking to engineers. We've commissioned Hayduck Engineering to put together a plan for an infrastructural maintenance program for the village so that we are more aware of what the priorities are, where we're being impacted most. As I said, we're keeping a running list of the streets and the storm drains that need clearing. We're clearing out a storm drain on Doyle Court right now, which experienced, it's a very similar, not as steep a grade down to the bottom of the court, but very similar situation. So, and I won't go into everything, but I just want you to know, and I invite the other trustees to make comment about this as well if you're interested and have something to report or say. I just want you to know that it's something that our Public Works Department, our Parks Department, and our Building Department have been focusing on for the past 10 days now, and will continue to focus on. We will address situations that rise as super priority, and sort of work our way backwards from there. But just know that your request is not being ignored if it isn't being addressed immediately. There are a lot of requests on the list for attention to some of the issues that have been besieging us right now. So would any other trustees like to make mention of your experience or anything? Feel free.
I just want to, as I thanked Chief before, I just want to thank the DPW, Highway Department, Building Department, Parks Department, everybody that really chipped in and did yeoman's work to, after that deluge that we got. And to paraphrase a little bit what Art was saying, we are one because they all did come together, and they're working, as the mayor said, Building Department is working out of parts of this room. Everybody chipped in. Okay, you can have a desk here, and we'll move the phones over and everything like that. So we are getting together. The village did get together. The village staff did get together, and they're working to first of all let the village proceed with business as usual, and second of all, the DPW especially, they're still doing a yeoman's job of cleaning up and to do whatever they can do to try to lessen it. We got a lot of rain. We got, what was it, 19 inches? I believe. I don't know but it was just an unbelievable amount of rain in a short period of time, and the amount of work that they've done is really commendable. So
11.3 inches recorded up at the gauge up at the maintenance shed in Port Jeff. Yeah, Port Jeff Country Club. Anyone else? Just one more story that I can tell, and that is even the people of the village are coming together. There is a runoff at North Country Road, right where the Highway Department easterly driveway is, the exit driveway. And so the water collects there. We're working on a grant in collaboration with Mather Northwell for their DRA there. It's a sump that hasn't been touched or maintained in years. And as a part of their project, the emergency department and the ambulatory surgery center moving to the back of the building there, part of that requirement was to restore and refurbish that sump, which is on their property. So, but we are working with them to prepare a grant and submit a grant to the Environmental Facilities Office at New York State for such types of projects, to help fund such types of projects. That said, there are areas east of DPW that get extremely flooded. The water runs into the doctor's offices just east of the DPW building and Town and Country entryway, and it's a nightmare. They had problems with their equipment, and they had to shut their offices for a few days. While we were inspecting that location, a gentleman drove up in a big SUV and popped out and said, "Do you own this building? Because I work next door." And we said, no, we're with the village. What's going on? And he said, well, you know, all their water was being directed into my catch basin. And I have a sufficient catch basin, and we never flood, but while they were redirecting it into the backwoods, it was starting to accumulate into our property. And we want to work with them. We will share our catch basin. We will even increase the amount of water that we can hold in working with them to help them capture their water. So this is the kind of thing that, like, when a storm happens and we realize we are one, we lift each other, we help each other. That was one of the most generous things that I encountered over the course of the last week. So in addition to one of the most generous things. So I just wanted to call that out and say all is not lost. We're villagers. We work together. We respect each other, and let's just keep moving on along in that direction. I think that was amazing. Okay. Any other public comments before we really close it down? Okay.
My name is Konstantin, last name Shostakov. I live at 115 Hoyt Lane. Hoyt Lane is a dead end. I have power plant next to me, and we only have one storm drain on the street that works, and it's in front of my house. So if you look at the Hoyt Lane, it ends with the fence, you know, between the Hoyt Lane and the power plant. And there's a cul-de-sac at the end, and it's built in a way that it goes up. So you can imagine that storm drain fills on a regular storm, during the regular storms, like within 5 minutes, to the point where I have 2-car garage, like one car can't get out because it's too deep. And I was in contact with Department of Public Works. They came once after the storm in the spring, and my wife has a video of that. They couldn't reach the drain itself because it was so deep. So they were running the truck back and forth just to, you know, let the water go, and then started cleaning it. So it's my understanding that there's no regular schedule for cleaning drains, but it's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that I got lucky this time. My basement got flooded, but it was a river in front of my house, because where it ends, the Hoyt Lane ends, it makes a left turn, and it runs into the woods and then on the power plant property. So I don't know what needs to be done, but I think if we even consider adding maybe more drains up the hill, because it's pretty steep still, and you know, the amount of water I'm collecting in front of my house every single time it rains, I kind of got used to it. I go and clean it myself, do the best I can. But then again, I think it's a matter of time when at least the garage attached to my house is going to be washed off if we don't do anything else. So I'm not sure. I spoke to Steve from Department of Public Works. I'm not sure if my address is on the list. All I'm asking for is, you know, for evaluation, if possible, some experts maybe come over and look it up and see if it's sufficient or not. If it is, then, you know, we have a high pressure gas pipe on the Hoyt Lane as well. So there's a lot of communications under the Hoyt Lane coming from the power plant.
Gotcha.
And it's all connected. So it's very sensitive. And, you know, if there's a lot of pressure, I don't want to have a sinkhole next to the high pressure gas pipe sitting in front of my house that I can't escape. You know, it's very serious. And I appreciate everybody's work, and I know you work hard, and I thank you very much for that. I just want to make sure if there's a list that you're working on, you know, as a village officials, you're looking at what areas needs improvement. I want to make sure my address is there, and maybe there's more people that would like to, you know, just have their properties assessed in that way. You know,
Right.
if you can make it public so we can add it, or at least make sure it's there, you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's the last public comment, so we will move on to our action on agenda items, yes?
Yes. Resolution number 1, 82824, resolution approving the minutes of the July 31st, 2024, and August 14th, 2024 meetings of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Sylvia?
Yes, ma'am.
just- I think Zena wants to report on something, and if, yes, you can, it's not on the agenda, but you're, certainly, absolutely.
All right, I just, I have a couple of things to report on. First, the Budget and Finance Committee. Vacations delayed the review of the rec pricing with the rec department. That is now scheduled. It'll be finalized. Policy has, however, already been adjusted to ensure that rental fees are being collected for special events, and that's being tracked now. There's a process in place that will provide us the data in the future to start really optimizing things based on data. The second item is we've made our recommendation on the audit firm, which is one of the resolutions for tonight, and that is on the agenda. The third item is the committee is working with Treasurer Gafka and Clerk Perillo to review our top 5 service contracts in priority order according to total contract value. So that is the next thing that we're going to embark on. But I also want to make mention, given the storm that's happened and the completion of the 7-year capital audit results, which we are now reviewing with Treasurer Gafka and the mayor. And our financial reporting is being updated to reflect the adjustments that need to be made that reflect where we actually were at the end of the last fiscal year. Had generally accepted accounting principles for government financials been followed, now we have a good starting point. Treasurer Gafka is updating that. However, I want to add something. In light of the storm damage that's been done and the resources that are being brought to bear on the part of the village and DPW, we're going to take a step back and evaluate all spend, right? And reprioritize based on what we know the additional spend is going to be, what we know we can obtain from government grants and FEMA monies, et cetera. And then we can put a stake in the ground and know that we're moving forward fiscally in a way that is, again, completely data-based and adheres to GASBs, which are government accounting standards. So that's on the Budget and Finance Committee. So again, I want to also congratulate and express my appreciation for all the work that's been done on the part of the village workers to help us get through this. For the power plant working group, just a quick update. Relationship mapping has been completed. That means every stakeholder that we've been able to identify that touches the power plant is now part of the conversation. That includes LIPA now. Our next step is fostering a collective dialogue amongst all of these stakeholders with all of the options that are available to us to repower the power plant. That is one option. There's repowering. That's based on increasing demand, which is an about face from where energy demand estimates were 3 to 4 years ago. I think there's an understanding that this is going to be an increasing demand rather than a decreasing, and that wind and solar isn't coming on quite as fast as everybody expected. The second thing that we're going to tackle as a group is exploration of pilot alternative fuel options. That could be hydrogen, it could be battery, it could be ammonia, it could be a combination of things. Because the reality is a transition to alternative fuels is not a rip and replace, right? It's not a big bang. There has to be a facility to handle power now as we're building capacity and exploring alternative fuels. And then the third thing is the evaluation of adjacent projects that plug into a potential solution. So, for alternative fuels, are there adjacent properties that could be used for storage for some of these things? Is that even a possibility? How do the residents feel about it? We're bringing POQUAD into the conversation because they're on the backside of the power plant. So I think the conversation has begun. I'm happy to report that everybody is willingly coming to the table, right? And so far, it's been very robust conversation. The mayor's been in a couple of them, and I appreciate the work that the power plant working group is doing, and I'm very excited about our prospects in that regard. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Zena. Unbelievable. Great report. Sorry, didn't remember to ask you to report because that was worthwhile, 100%. Anybody else want to give a report tonight? Usually what we've done, and this is why it's a little off, we sort of focused giving our reports at the first meeting of the month on the second Tuesday or Wednesday. And we sort of talk through all the resolutions that we're looking at, and but heck, with that kind of information, let's give reports now too. But if there's something important to report, like the incidents that happened over the last week, and and Zena's update is amazing, so we welcome it, and I welcome the trustees to meeting. Just give us a heads up in advance and we'll put it on the agenda. If there's something specific that you really want to report above and beyond what you reported on the at the first meeting of the month, on the second Wednesday. So does that make sense? Okay. Okay, thank you. Again, I ask, anyone else want to give an update of any kind? All right, thank you, Zena, again, appreciate it. Okay, Clerk Perillo, your turn.
The mayor will also be dispensing with executive session this evening.
Are you sure no one has a report?
Hurry up, all in favor?
Okay.
Okay,
all right.
thank you. Resolution number 1, 82824, resolution approving the minutes of the July 31st, 2024 and August 14th, 2024 meetings of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 2, 82824, resolution approving the block party request submitted by Nicole Macarius to hold a block party on Washington Avenue on August 31st, 2024, with a rain date of September 1st, 2024. May I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 3, 82824, resolution approving the event application submitted by John Ruggiero on behalf of the Port Jefferson UFSD to close to vehicular traffic specified village streets from 7 o'clock p.m. through 8 o'clock p.m. on September 27, 2024, and to utilize village personnel for traffic control for the annual homecoming parade. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 4, 82824, resolution approving the event application for the annual October Harvest Fest submitted by Barbara Ransom on behalf of the Greater Port Jefferson Chamber of Commerce for the closure of Mill Creek Road on October 19th, 2024 and October 20th, 2024 from 11 o'clock a.m. through 5 o'clock p.m. and the use of code enforcement personnel to assist with traffic control for the closing of East Main to East Broadway and Main Street to East Main Street on October 19th, 2024 from 12:30 p.m. through 1:00 p.m. for the costume dog parade, and for the use of code enforcement personnel to assist with traffic control in front of Harborview Christian Church on October 19th, 2024, and October 20th, 2024, from 1:00 p.m. through 5:00 p.m. for tractor pull hay wagon rides. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Discussion?
Or I don't know if it matters, there's just a typo in Barbara's.
Yes, noted and corrected. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution number 5, 82824, resolution reappointing Driania Levine to the Conservation Advisory Council for a term to expire in June of 2026, noting that the holdover term for that position expired in June of 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 6, 82824, resolution reappointing Mary Bernaro to the Conservation Advisory Council for a term to expire in June of 2026, noting that the holdover term for that position expired in June of 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 7, 82824, resolution reappointing Gil Anderson to the Planning Board for a term to expire in June of 2027, noting that the holdover term for that position expired in June of 2022. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 8, 82824, resolution reappointing Ray DiBiase to the Planning Board for a term to expire in June of 2029, noting that the holdover term for that position expired in June of 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion
And
carries.
Just a note, he pronounced it DiBiase. He doesn't pronounce it DiBiase, he pronounces it DiBiase. I don't know why I yell at him all the time that he's not pronouncing his name right, but that's how he pronounces it.
Doreen says it's okay to say it however you want.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know, right?
I yell at him all the time.
Resolution number 9, 82824, resolution reappointing Mark Brosnan to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire in June of 2028, predicated upon the assumption that the holdover term for that position expired in June of 2023. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 10, 82824, resolution accepting the resignation of Mark Visekis as a senior building inspector effective July 23rd, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 11, 82824, resolution accepting the resignation of Nicole Palumbo from the Budget and Finance Committee effective August 14th, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Discussion? Just want to make a note to express appreciation to Nicole. She has been sworn in as a member of the Board of Ethics, the inaugural Board of Ethics here in Port Jefferson, and therefore was asked, to only sit on one board. And so the Budget and Finance Committee was the board that she selected to resign from. Unfortunately, because she really was enjoying the participation in that, and the policy making of that committee. So we appreciate her putting her effort against the Board of Ethics as the Finance Committee is really rolling along at a nice clip. And I believe we have another person who is stepping into that spot.
Yes.
That's
So, yeah, so we have a number of folks who have in the past thrown their hat into the ring. And as things like Nicole moving to the Ethics Board occur, and as people who are retiring from the board, we've got a good pipeline going, but that doesn't mean that we're not always interested in anyone else that wants to join us, because it can be a heavy lift. We need more hands. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 12, 82824, resolution establishing the Suffolk County Civil Service title of Senior Code Enforcement Officer for the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Do we have discussion?
Why are we doing that?
Because we need that role and it doesn't exist
We
in
don't have
our,
a senior?
nope.
Okay.
Mm-mm. It doesn't exist under, that civil service title, correct me if I'm wrong, does not exist in our civil service listing of titles.
So this is establishing that,
Correct,
that title.
correct.
Will that be our present chief?
This is just the resolution establishing the title. Would you like to add anything to that, Sylvia?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
This resolution establishes the title, and later on, we can work on how that's filled.
Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 13, 82824, resolution rejecting all proposals as received for RFP number 1372024, sidewalk replacement, repair, or remediation, per the bid opening on July 29, 2024, and authorizing the use of an approved Suffolk County contractor to perform the stamped concrete work detailed in the bid specifications. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Sure.
So, I'll start the discussion, I guess. I'm in favor of, I'm glad we're rejecting the other bids, but do we know, are we giving them an open check? I mean, we don't know how much it's going to be, right? With the Suffolk County contractor?
Stephen, do you want to take this question?
No, we have estimates based off of the county contract prices for those separate individual jobs. So we do know how much it's going to be, and there's one of the resolutions later on in here specifies a dollar amount for two of those projects combined, Wind Lane and Rocket Ship Park, which was estimated to be, I believe, $274,000 to do that.
And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but we also look at using the bricks or re-bricking it instead of just using.
Oh, yes, we did.
We did, and it was substantially more expensive, almost twice as much to do it reusing the bricks and to relaying a sublayer to keep the bricks.
So is there a reason why we wouldn't just do a regular bid for this and get a firm amount, a firm price?
We did go out, we did receive the RFPs, and then when we, as we were reviewing the RFPs, we determined that it would make more sense for the village to reject all of the bids and go with county contract, because the county contract proposals provide more safety and traffic maintenance controls that were not part of the bid specs that alleviate the DPW from having to do work that they would not be able to do.
If I may add on to that too, our superintendent informed us that the crew is simply not able, time-wise or manpower-wise, to take that on. So the three of us sat together and determined that this was the best course of action.
Yes, the traffic and maintenance is required as part of the county contract, meaning the contractor that would perform the work would have to have the flagmen reroute traffic, make sure that the safety concerns are all being addressed while they're performing the work. And that was not part of the original bid specifications that were posted. As well, the actual work itself under county contract was slightly cheaper for the work than the RFP prices that came in.
And the RFP that came in was for, we're comparing apples to apples.
Yes.
And that's all funded at this point, right? I mean, that's.
Depending on how this board votes later on this evening.
Okay.
And these are ARPA funds?
Potentially. Depending on how the board votes later on this evening.
The answer is that's what's proposed. Yes.
It sounds like the cart is in front of the horse, depending upon how we vote later.
What, we have an estimate?
You want to table this and then vote on the other thing first and then,
I would like that, yes.
does that make sense, Sylvia? Does it matter? Resolution 24?
would be voting on funding a project before voting on the project? Right now, we're approving the work
I
of the
understand
project.
that, but I would like to know the price of something that I'm voting on.
$274,245.28, according to resolution number 26, later in the agenda. So it's there. It was shared,
Okay,
all there,
Which was cheaper than the bids.
which was cheaper than the bids. So,
okay.
And this is already fully funded.
as soon as we vote on it and approve it, if we don't approve it, it's not funded at all.
Right.
The availability, I would say like this, the availability for funding exists and it should be appropriated later depending on how the board decides to vote.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, as a matter of accounting, from your perspective, you have the project and then you fund the project. So to answer the trustee's question, is the cart before the horse or is the cart where it's supposed to be?
My answer would be we need to perform resolution 13 first prior to funding it because we need to reject the RFPs and accept that we can go with county contract prior to actually funding the project itself, would be the treasurer's recommendation.
Which is why it appears this way on the agenda, just to add.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 14, 82824, resolution rejecting all proposals as received for RFP number 1352024 concession operations per the bid opening on July 22nd, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Do we have a
Second.
Any discussion, questions about this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 15, 82824, resolution authorizing the solicitation of bids for the performance of tree trimming work throughout the village of Port Jefferson, with the specific tree work to be ordered and approved by Superintendent of Public Works, Stephen Gallagher. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
Resolution number 16, 82824, resolution authorizing the Village of Port Jefferson to conduct a tax lien sale at 10 o'clock a.m. on March 11th, 2025 at Village Hall, 121 West Broadway, Port Jefferson, New York, 11777. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion, questions about this?
Yeah, I have a question. So, for example, for interested parties, like where, as it gets closer to that sale, is there going to be a listing somewhere? Is that published in
There's a-
TPW?
There's a legal requirement that for 3 consecutive weeks prior to the date of the actual sale, we must notice which liens are up for sale. And we
Perfect.
will do so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 17, 82824, resolution accepting the reforestation pilot program quotation submitted by Coastal Technologies in the amount of $27,560 for the installation of 580 cliff stabilizer devices and corresponding plants on the East Beach Bluff, per the attached, as presented to the Village Board of Trustees on August 14th, 2024, at the August 2024 work session meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Do we have a motion?
May I request some conversation on this one?
Well, can we go through the motion process
Yeah,
first?
I'll make the motion so we can for discussion.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. Okay, open for discussion?
Okay. I think based on some of the commentary that we had, and I do appreciate the erosion committee report. I am taking the gentleman's comments to heart in terms of the completeness of the quote that we've got, and in light of In light of some of the expenses that the village is encountering due to the storm, I would just like to table it for now and evaluate it when we know what our financial position is and when we've answered some of the questions that came up today in conversation.
I too am interested in understanding if an installation is included in this. I assumed that it was. And so that's an outstanding question. What I would like to understand, and this discussions ensued all day today about this, and they were robust and interesting. But one of the questions that came up is, if we have ARPA funds, would we be allowed to use them for this project? And so I'll ask our treasurer if that is the case.
The answer to that question is yes.
Under what circumstance does a bluff project fall within ARPA funding?
Well, so the village applied for ARPA funding as revenue replacement, which essentially means that the village lost a certain amount of revenue during COVID, and we requested ARPA funding to recoup to do some of the capital projects that were unable to occur during that period. What this particular project would qualify for ARPA is that it's protecting an asset. It's protecting land. It's coastal erosion protection, which would then qualify for the use of the for a capital project for ARPA funds. And this was that was my thought originally. We took the additional step to qualify that with the financial consultant and Charlene Cagle-Betts, and she agreed that this could be a use of the ARPA funds.
Okay.
Can I?
Sure.
They don't have page numbers on here, but in their proposal under installation scope, they specifically say installation of devices and plant materials is not included.
But there is a price for plant materials in the proposed cost.
I see that. Why the discrepancy? Why?
That goes to Bob's question.
The installation, the plant materials, yes, they're listed. I don't see any price connected to the installation of the devices or the plant material.
I see supervision of installation, but I don't see a price for installation. So that is something that has me stopping a little bit short too. Because while ARPA funds are available, and I feel this project is incredibly important as a test to see if reforestation will help that bluff come back to life, while the observations of Dr. Kasari were or it might have been Mr. Grimm, said that, there's a significant growth and seemingly stable area of growth on the bluff, in the center of the bluff. Those two sides continue to erode following each storm, and a fan of sediment coming down the hill onto the beach, which represents $275,000 of fill that the village spent, taxpayers spent on fill, is being washed away. And so with this installation, whatever it costs, we need to know before we actually, I agree that we can't approve this without understanding what the cost of installation will be. What I can also say is we're working to see if the DEC would approve a revised application, permit application, because it will be required, it is required. So there's three steps to three questions that the DEC wants answered, and there's a $300 permit fee for that application for modification of the permit. So you're all right. We shouldn't rush this through. I feel it's important, but there are some significant questions that need to be answered and a couple of steps that need to be taken to address it. So
Procedurally, Stephen, is this 27,000? Should we go out to bid for something like this? I mean, were we allowed
If it's
to-
over 35
35?
for a public works.
Okay.
But in
matter is
addition,
35.
what we do know is that this is sole source provider. It's a patented product, not available from anyone else.
May I add one more question to the list of things that I believe need to be answered before we can action
Please.
this particular item? I would also like to compare that to other firms that do revegetation, because I think it would be perhaps an error to categorize this as a single source solution when the only piece of this is their patented hexagonal unit and the method that they're using. But bluff revegetation is really the problem we're trying to solve. And I would be very interested in just having a conversation with some of the firms who have been doing this for longer than 2 years.
Noted.
So just add it to the questions that we could talk about.
Since we're taking the time to, kind of cross all our T's and dot our I's on it, I think it would also be helpful to know it's a pilot program. What is the metric of success in the pilot? I understand, less erosion, but there needs to be like I would say a number attached to that. Just slightly less erosion doesn't necessarily mean it was worth the money spent on it. And I think they had a very compelling presentation, and I think I can get to yes on there. But if we are doing a pilot program, I think it would be really helpful if we, we're truly doing an experiment. Like, what is the level of success on
How do we
less
measure
erosion?
success?
Yeah, like how do we measure that?
What are the KPIs? Yep.
Plants. Blueberries.
Can't see sand.
Raspberries. No sand, no gullies. Okay. Noted also. So procedurally, if I can steal your word, where do we go from here?
I would suggest a motion to table, Mayor.
Okay,
Well,
we had a motion, so, all in favor, right? Do we carry through on this resolution?
No.
There was a motion made and seconded, right? Is there a motion of the board to withdraw the previous motion? 'Cause
Motion.
If you vote on it, you deny it, and then there's. so-
Do we have a second to,
To table it?
to rescind the previous motion?
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Now,
Motion to table.
do we have a motion to table resolution number 17-82824?
Motion.
I'll make that motion.
I defer to Stan.
Me too. All in favor?
Aye.
I believe trustee Ugrinsky seconded that
Right.
motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution number 18-82824, resolution authorizing the Village of Port Jefferson to enter into a 16-month lease to purchase agreement with John Deere at a cost of $1,793.47 per month for 60 months for a Gator, zero-turn mower, and turf tidy brush mower and vacuum unit. all of which are required equipment at the Port Jefferson Country Club. May I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Oh, that's discussion. Hold on, did we pass that resolution?
I didn't vote.
We need to go back, we can go back.
Okay. All right, Stan.
I would just like to know how the cost to purchase
Is your mic on?
would compare. The cost to purchase would compare to the cost of leasing?
So it's a 5-year lease with, at the last month's lease, it's $1 buyout.
Is this a replacement of something that already existed, or is this net new?
These are 3 new items. One of them is a replacement for something that the country club has not had for a number of years, which would be the zero-turn mower. But they needed an additional gator, and then the vacuum unit, which will help alleviate some of the stress on the country club as well.
And these would all be paid out of the country club fund.
Correct.
Just a comment in passing, I've been through this quite a few times, and the dollar buyouts, most of those dollar buyouts go into the junk pile
After 5 years.
after 5 years of use. Was there ever a total cost to buy these outright?
Do we have the capital to buy these outright?
There doesn't exist the funding availability per the country club general manager and the maintenance superintendent. They recommended this action. The lease amounts are tied to the wholesale value of these units, and this was the recommendation that they thought they could fit it into their budget on a yearly basis.
Are we adding it to an existing lease?
We have an existing lease with John Deere for the other equipment. This is being added as this is a separate, it's an entirely separate agreement.
Okay.
And I think Bob asked this, but this is paid through membership fees, correct?
All country club revenues.
I just think that's good for everyone to know, even if you already understand it.
So we've approved that resolution?
Yes.
We don't have to do it again?
That's correct.
Okay.
Resolution number 19-82824, resolution authorizing Aflac Representative Salvatore Restivo to conduct Aflac open enrollment sessions in Village Hall for Village of Port Jefferson employees, with the dates and times of the open enrollment sessions to be approved by Village Clerk Perillo. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 20-82824, resolution increasing revenues and expenses for both the general and capital funds to record the Port Jefferson Business Improvement District contribution of $23,200 towards the purchase of new parking meters and equipment. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We like that one.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 21-82824, resolution accepting the proposal submitted by R.S. Abrams and Company LLP for the bid opening on July 29, 2024, for the provision of independent audit services for the fiscal years ending May 31st, 2024, May 31st, 2025, and May 31st, 2026, with the option to renew for the fiscal years ending May 31st, 2027, and May 31st, 2028, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the engagement letter between the Village of Port Jefferson and R.S. Abrams and Company, LLP. This acceptance is based on a recommendation by Treasurer Gafka, as well as an independent, unanimous recommendation from the Budget and Finance Committee. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I believe I have to recuse on that one. don't I? I worked on it. So-
Okay,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
And another refusal?
I was wondering why I didn't motion. Okay.
Okay, motion carries. Trustee Ugrinsky recused.
Okay, thank you. Resolution number 22-82824. Resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 48, increasing revenue for line item A 2770 miscellaneous revenue in the amount of $23,200 and increasing appropriations for line item A 9950.9 interfund transfer in the amount of $23,200 and requesting that budget amendment number 48 be included in the meeting minutes of the August 28th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Trustees. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 23-82824, resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 49, increasing revenue for line item H 5031 interfund transfer in the amount of $23,200 and increasing appropriations for line item H 3320.21 parking capital improvement in the amount of $23,200 and requesting that budget amendment number 49 be included in the meeting minutes of the August 28th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Trustees. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 24-82824. Resolution authorizing the use of ARPA funds for the purpose of repair and replacement of specified sidewalks at Rocket Ship Park and Wynn Lane, and authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 50, increasing revenue for line item A 4089 federal aid other in the amount of $274,245.28 and increasing appropriations for line item A 9950.9 interfund transfer in the amount of $274,245.28 for the purpose of repair and replacement of specified sidewalks at Rocket Ship Park and Wynn Lane, and requesting that budget amendment number 50 be included in the meeting minutes of the August 28th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Trustees. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 25-82824, resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to create a new capital fund expense line item to be known as line item H 5410-2051, capital sidewalk improvement ARPA project. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 26-82824, resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 51, increasing revenue for line item H 5031, interfund transfer in the amount of $274,245.28, and increasing appropriations for line item H 5410-2051, capital sidewalk improvement ARPA project in the amount of $274,245.28, and requesting that budget amendment number 51 be included in the meeting minutes of the August 28th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Trustees. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion
Aye.
before we do that?
Sure.
So- And after we vote, you could explain it. But Stephen, for my own edification and everybody that's here, could you just explain the 3 steps that we just went through?
Yes. So the federal government in use of the ARPA funds requires villages when they appropriate it to designate that they're using ARPA funds for a specific project. That's so that they can track that it's actually been appropriated. So what we're doing is we're allowing the money to go from a liability line into a revenue so that we can then expense it to the capital fund. And then we have a resolution making a new line for a separate project, and then accepting that money to come into capital to set the budget so that we can easily track those expenses and make sure we stay within budget.
So Stephen, is this a continuation of the efforts to write our accounting and record keeping in
Yes.
light of what was determined from the 7-year audit?
This is how it should be done in terms of,
That
any,
answers my
any
question.
type of
Yes.
accounting procedure for municipal accounting.
Since Stephen's been here, this is how it's been done.
Right.
No,
So,
I'm,
Yeah, yeah.
I just felt it was important for the public to know that.
Okay.
We need to.
Thank you.
Also, no.
Okay, so, excuse us, I'm conferring with the treasurer. The current resolution numbers 27
Mhm.
and 28 will not be voted on?
Okay, we have to vote at 26, though.
Yes, yes, but I just want to explain what the next step is. Will not be voted on, and we have, however, we have two other resolutions that will take their place.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's, are all in favor of resolution number 26-82824?
Motion. Yeah, aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
All right, that motion carries.
Okay, so our new resolution number 27, 82824 reads as follows. Resolution authorizing the use of ARPA funds for the repair and replacement of brick sidewalks along the village tennis courts and Mill Creek Walkway, and authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 54, increasing revenue for line item A 4089 federal aid other in the amount of $79,276.94, and increasing appropriations for line item A 9950.9 interfund transfer in the amount of $79,276.94 for the repair and replacement of brick sidewalks around the village tennis courts and Mill Creek Walkway, and requesting that budget amendment number 54 be included in the meeting minutes of the August 28th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Trustees. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion because I want to discuss something.
Do we have a second? Because then we'll discuss this.
Second.
Okay. Bob?
So is this additional funds? So is this, because we've been throwing around 274, 245, 28, and now we have 79,000, or 79,276.94. So are these?
Yes, as a way of explanation, when we went out to RFP, there was 3 separate areas within one larger scope of a project. Rocket Ship Park Walkway from Barnum around to across from where Rubo is, was one. Wynn Lane from Maple around Wynn was the second part of the project. The third part was slightly more complicated because it's involving a Suffolk County downtown revitalization grant that the village received to do the tennis court Mill Creek Walkway. The village, I believe, applied for that in 2019. This has been kind of an ongoing grant that we're trying to wrap up. So this portion of the ARPA funds would be the village's portion of the project. The grant portion was $64,041 that the county would provide for the project. As a whole, this particular piece was a little over $143,000 to do this piece.
So when we're looking at the project in total, we're looking at 350,000,
Roughly
360,000?
355,000, which would exhaust the remaining ARPA funds that we have.
But we do have alternative, right? We have an alternative.
There are alternative options.
So just, this is one of the other things we've been talking about all day today. And because of the fact that we have so much storm damage and so much need for capital expenditure, we're looking at ways to, like, this was just a project that we assumed, let's do it. We've got this grant money. Let's go ahead. As the treasurer and I walked around this portion of the project and noticed that it's not the conditions of the Mill Creek Walkway. There's one area that's pretty compromised. The rest of it is very stable and flat and solid. The other area along the east side of the tennis court is stable and flat, and no tripping hazards seem to appear there. The area that is on the north side of the tennis courts is compromised to some extent. We spoke with DPW, and we have a commitment from our Public Works office that we can handle this job in-house piecemeal. So we will have a lot of extra bricks from the removal of the brickwork around Rocket Ship Park. that we can be reused, repurposed, because not all the bricks are damaged there. And we have some bricks that we can salvage from the north side of the tennis court area as well. And again, we have a commitment. It's not going to be done all at once. It won't be excavated and refinished, but it will be done piecemeal over the course of the off-season. So with that commitment, we thought, well, we can save a good $85,000, right? Is that how much we're talking about for ARPA?
79,000 and change.
And change, making it $85,000. No, I'm just kidding. 79,000 and change. So that money we can reappropriate. It doesn't have to be dedicated until or committed until the end of the year. So we know we're going to have some projects that we're going to want to address sort of on an emergency basis. And so we're looking to handle this portion of the sidewalk project in-house, thanking the county for their grant and asking them, is there something else we can use this money for? We'll ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? We have friends in the county. We know people. Just kidding. So that's what we're talking about now, is trying to be pound wise and penny wise too.
So then if we're gonna do that, then why do we need this resolution? If we're gonna do it in-house?
The original anticipation was that we would be doing this as an add-on as the last piece of the entire portion of the project. However, in conversations, there are other pressing needs and repairs, capital repairs that all throughout the village that this particular part of the project could either be postponed to a later date. We have a little bit of time, or we could potentially try and reallocate the grant funds to something else while we perform the maintenance and repair and remediation of what's currently there in-house.
Okay, so this is putting the money, just transfer the money out of interfund transfer, or, I'm sorry.
These were these two particular add-on resolutions were going to appropriate the ARPA funds to then send to capital, and then appropriating capital to recognize the revenue and the grant funds, if the board so chose to move forward with these two resolutions and project.
So by putting in capital, we're not committing to hiring a contractor to do the work that we're gonna do in-house.
No, if the board decides not to move forward, the treasurer's recommendation would be to not vote in the affirmative on these two resolutions.
Treasurer, does it make sense to include the consideration of this as part of the overall fiscal reprioritization, and maybe, I don't know, just put a pause on it for a sec?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's important also to know, the ARPA funds have to be committed before the end of December. But there could be potentially greater uses, more pressing needs for those funds down the line. But wanted to present this to the board to have a chance to discuss it and decide how the board wanted to move forward.
Yeah, it just feels to me that we have an opportunity right now, since we are literally, microns away from having a very good understanding of our financial situation and where we stand on the current budget, that it just makes sense to include this in that discussion.
What's a micron?
It's a very small distance, very small.
It
Smaller
derives
than a
from the
centimeter
word, the
and a millimeter.
English, the Egypt, the Greek. All right, so now we get to vote on this resolution, right? Yes, and
Bigger than a nano.
Oh, thank you.
so all in favor?
Totally confused, are we?
Are we tabling?
We
We're motioning to table?
we aren't spending the money on the walkways. So the answer is.
The recommendation would be to vote in the negative, to not move forward with this resolution to vote no if we do not want to do this project with ARPA funds.
Okay.
For now.
For now.
So,
In that case,
because we
no.
can do it in-house.
Right.
Right.
So, all in favor? All opposed?
All opposed.
Approving that.
All opposed?
We're all opposed.
We're all opposed. Yes. Nay.
We're unanimous on that.
Okay, unanimously opposed.
For now.
Correct. Resolution number 28, 82824, resolution approving the check register and warrants dated August 22nd, 2024, as presented by Treasurer Gafka and as approved by Claims Auditor Goodwin. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 29, 82824, resolution to close the August 28th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Trustees at 7:51 PM. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Good night. No snacks. No snacks.
You were looking forward to the snacks downstairs?